Welcome back to CMO School. Today's guest is one of my favorite people to learn from when it comes to AI. Callan Faulkner is an AI coach and founder of The Uncommon Business. After building a $4 million company in just 18 months with 4 AI trained employees while working less than 40 hours a week, she's a living example of what AI can do for us within our businesses. And I met Callan this past spring when she spoke at an event I was at in person. And not only did she make me laugh out loud the entire time. But as someone who has been using AI in my business in what I felt was a pretty advanced way, I actually learned a lot from her that really helped me, which I feel is rare. So she wasn't just teaching the basics like everyone's sharing online. Callan and her team have helped thousands of business leaders reclaim their time, energy, and creative focus by architecting smarter AI systems that actually work. They're really focus not on like replacing people per se, but really amplifying you and how do you use AI in your business and inside your role. So today we're going to break down the shift from AI offloader to AI architect and why that's the next evolution of marketing leadership. We're going to talk about AI systems and tools that every fractional CMO should be using in their business and in their life, and how to use AI authentically to really blow up your creativity and not be able not leaning on AI to like lose your voice. So if
Yeah.
you've been curious about AI but don't know where to start, or you're experimenting and feeling like you're missing the picture, or you know that it can be better, this episode is for you. So let's get into it. Callan, it's so great to have you here.
Woohoo! I'm so happy to be here, Jess. I met you and Ashley at Pink Skirt this summer, and I was like, yeah, I could be friends with those girls right away.
Yeah.
We could hang out all night. This was so
Yeah.
fun. Oh, that's full
We got to
circle.
be friends. It's happening.
100%.
I
100%. So
love it.
I'm happy to finally get here and be on the pod.
Yeah, I love it. And I have to say before we jump in, I meant that in my intro. I've been deep diving into AI the last year, maybe a little bit longer, and I was just getting so frustrated with downloading guides and getting these little offers from people and seeing just this really basic level of, okay, here's my prompt to do XYZ, and really no better than what I was getting as far as output, or even, sometimes worse in some cases. So
Yeah.
when I met you and we started talking about how you are using AI, how you train people to use AI. I think one of the things I was asking was like, okay, is it really actually advanced though?
Yeah.
Really going to learn things? And I
Mhm.
love that you're not just, scratching the surface and teaching the basics. You do that, but you also take it so deep to the point that I'm like, holy crap, I'm struggling to keep up, but
Well,
I love it.
I wanted to bring this up because you really inspired me because when you were deciding whether or not to come into the 12-week program, you were like, is this just going to be projects and custom GPTs? And I hadn't thought of my answer to that, but my new response is most people have had a cheeseburger, but have you had one that is made by Bobby Flay where he made a fig compote from his grandmother's garden and he slow roasted and smoked bacon over a homemade maple syrup from a small town in Canada. Like all this love and precision and thought and uniqueness that goes into the burger is a completely different experience. And I think even just the first couple weeks of our course, which we're into right now, really is, yes, we are doing projects and GPTs, but it's a whole nother level of creativity.
Yeah.
And then obviously all the things that are coming after this with automation and connectors and agent mode and deep research and, all the fun, sexy things that will come later. But even if you just ended with learning how to build a really incredible AI project, even just that, that's top 0.01% of the world
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
which is crazy that most
Yeah.
people have no idea.
It's so cool. And I love that analogy because I think that's so true. And I see that too in my clients' businesses. I just had a sales call the other day and they were talking about, oh, I've been training my AI for the past year. I'm like, okay, well, tell me what that looks like. What have you been doing to train your AI? And it's just really funny because I think the general population, especially in marketing, is literally just scratching the surface. And they're like, oh, I just use it every day and it's learning
It's
and
getting
getting
me.
better,
It's
which
getting
it kind of does, I guess, but marginally. And what I've realized working with your team and just seeing these things that, you guys have spent hours and hours and hours refining and learning how to learn the tools and how best to use them. And there's small things that you'll share or they feel small. And, you make this tweak and it's like your content goes from like 10 revisions to either none or one. And there's things like that that I think it's these nuances that you've learned from deep expertise and so much time in the
Mm.
space. So
Well,
I love it.
Ravika, thank you.
But
Well,
I'd
it's
love
just been the most fun.
yeah, I'd love to like, get kind of a little bit of background for our listeners who maybe are
Yeah.
new to you. So, you've built and scaled multiple businesses, and I want to know what was happening when you heard about AI and kind of decided to go all in and double down on this space because you were one of the earlier people in this space. And
Mhm.
I just am so curious to know where that happened.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. So I saw my first demo of ChatGPT in July of 2023, which in AI world is forever. It really wasn't that long ago. It was like 2.5 years ago. At the time, I was running a real estate investing business, and you guys will probably hear me talk about this later, maybe. But I started that business, and I was also running a consulting business to. I was automating real estate investors' businesses. That was like the whole thing. I was known as the tech girl in the land investing world. Very, very specific niche. And I started that business to make money. I literally was like, okay, well, everyone that I know that's rich has real estate investment, so I should do that. Well, as most of us know, especially a lot of your clients that have their own business, it's like when you go after money, it's actually the opposite happens. Either you make it and you're not happy, or you don't make it at all. And I was making it, but I was just not fulfilled. I was so burned out. I was doing so many calls, so much BS, I was like, this actually sucks. I hate this. And so in the while I was in that, I was so burned out and I saw ChatGPT for the first time, and it was this huge pressure release valve. And I just saw the first demo I saw was this guy. He recorded himself talking about a process, and then he took the transcript and he turned it into a process document. I was like, "Oh my God." One of the worst things in the world to do is document a process. So the moment I saw it, my whole body was like, holy crap, what other areas could I automate? What other areas in my life am I spending time and energy on where this tool, if trained properly or set up properly, could collapse time? And I ultimately am just obsessed with collapsing time. I love efficiency. I love all of the hacks. I have no problem saying this, make a lot of money, spend a lot of time with my friends and family, find all of the areas of joy in my life that I possibly can all the time, and just do something I love. So that turned into
Literally, same.
same, same. And we can have it all. I think we can have it all. I was in that. I'm like, why did I leave this job, my other job where I was making 150K to grind myself into the ground? I mean, that's what happens to most entrepreneurs. So I saw ChatGPT. I was like, hell yeah, this thing rocks. I need to figure out how to use it. So I went on YouTube and I found they were all men. I was trying to find the women. Where are my girls at? But it was all these guys. I hired this guy, Bruce. He showed me the basics of prompting and how to navigate. 2.5 years ago, chat was so stupid. So I'm like, oh my God, trying to navigate, all the things. And I started to figure it out. So I started to automate my land business. And I was like, holy crap, I'm obsessed with this. Long story short, all my girlfriends were like, you have to teach this. You are doing all these incredible things in your land business. I'd been in technology my entire career. That was what I've been doing. I've been doing systems build, automation build. So I knew I loved it. And then I just literally shut everything down. And last April of 2024, I shut everything else down. I wrote in my journal, I would be so excited if 10 people came to my free AI masterclass. And last week, we just hosted one for 5,000 people.
Yeah, that's
So
wild.
just also knowing, you guys, time is an illusion. You think something's going to take 10 years, it could take one.
Yeah.
If you make the right moves, you get in the right rooms, you invest the money on the right things, and we can
Yeah.
talk about that too. But yeah, went all in. And here we are, the founder of the Uncommon Business. And we're really are the fastest growing AI education business in the world, which is crazy.
I love that. And just for perspective here too, if you can share, what were you walking away from an income level? And the reason I ask is because a lot of our listeners are marketers who want to transition into fractional CMO work, or
Yeah.
they're CMOs who are trying to figure out the model because when it's done wrong, it can be a disaster.
Yep.
And often one of the things I hear is just this fear around leaving what they know and what they're comfortable with to
Absolutely.
something else, right? And so I'm curious to know, what did that look like and how did that feel to make that transition for you?
2023, I profited about 300,000 net income. So I was feeling at the time like I feel safe. This is my identity. And more than anything, I even remember the moment that I knew I needed to shut it down. I was crying because my identity was wrapped up in serving these land investors. A lot of them were some of my best friends, and we're traveling the world and going to all these conferences, and I'm the tech girl in the land space, and they got my start. And I'm like, who am I to leave them? But what I realized is so many of them are coming into our program now, and so many of them have said, thank you so much for doing this, because I would have never known about any of this if you had not taken the chance. And this year, our net will be 2 million. I'm like,
It's amazing.
how? I don't know how. Creator does crazy stuff and we don't know the how. I'm not going to ask the how. All I
Yeah.
know is that when you think you're leaving something and you just have to trust your gut. And in human design, I'm a generator. And so my human design coach all the time is like, it in your gut. You know.
Yeah.
So you don't
Yeah.
need to go ask anyone else. And if you don't call your gut, it's just going to keep following you around until you make the right
Yeah.
call.
Yeah. I love that so much. And I had a similar experience as well, shifting away from corporate, really comfortable role, paid time off, benefits, all of this into
Yeah,
this space. And it really was like leaping off a cliff and being like, I don't know, but I have to do this. I can't not. So I love
absolutely.
that. I love that a
And you
lot.
have to take a dip. Those first few months, it doesn't happen at one time. So
Yeah.
just trusting yourself and knowing and having a supportive partner and having supportive friends, getting around other women and other people that are wanting to make these moves. And I have a little group of friends. We call ourselves the 10X girls. And essentially it started because I had all these girls in my life text me for business advice. I'm like, we need to get all y'all in one group chat. And one of our friends, I think we kind of bullied her into leaving her job, but she's very grateful. She's very grateful we did. But you just need to be, and if you don't feel like you have those expanders around you, it's okay to be in rooms. Do you host any
Yes.
events, Jess, for your people? Have you
Do
hosted
I?
an
Not
event?
in person. No, no.
Okay. Well,
I
maybe that's
go
something
to
to
them.
discuss with you
I don't
there.
know, my previous corporate, I think I'm a little bit scarred from in-person events.
Yes. Me? Okay.
Me running them, probably not, but I love to go to them. If
Love
other
it.
people want to plan them, I will
Yes,
be there.
exactly. Well, maybe so you guys can come to my events.
Yeah.
I love in-person events, but just, paying to be in the room. That's how I met Kinsey. That's how I met my other best friend, Steph. We're both just
Yeah.
powerhouses. I'm just getting in these masterminds and things. So
I
yeah,
love
those
that.
little can't do it without those quantum friendships. So
No,
important.
not at all. Okay, shifting gears over to what you see. You work with so many different clients across so many different industries. I would love to hear, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you're seeing marketers make when it comes to AI?
First and foremost is opening up a chat and creating content. Absolutely not. That
Yeah.
is the cardinal sin. That is a spiritual infraction. So just we are pinky promising right now. We're never going to do that. Mm, Using free chat GPT. What the hell are we talking about? $20 a
Hmm.
month, you guys. $20 a month. You can't even get a meal for $20 a month. You can barely get a nice coffee these days. I mean, the
Hmm.
local shops around here. So no more free, get the paid. And then the thing that I think most marketers are not doing is they're not documenting their genius.
Hmm.
They are not documenting their frameworks. They're not sitting back. They may not even know that they have intellectual property. And so, what I tell a lot of my marketing friends is, you guys, all of these coaching calls that you've done, all these transcripts have massive gold inside of them. They have the way that you think about sales pages. They have the way that you think about email newsletters. They have the way that you think about generating an ideal client persona. That's your IP. That's your frameworks. And in this day and age, I really encourage people, I mean, not even encourage, I think it's a non negotiable to be documenting those frameworks. If you don't have those documented, you will never be able to get AI to write like you, think like you, or make decisions like you. So
Hmm.
stepping back, and you actually did a really nice job with this, Jess, in the beginning of the program. You're like, I don't want to just start building these things. I actually want to back up and start building this database of like, this is how I think about Instagram captions for
Hmm.
this industry. This is how I think about LinkedIn. This is what I think about sales pages. This is what I think. So really starting to capture one-on-one conversations, voice memos, team meetings, and recording yourself constantly. Then that's when we can start to figure out, how do you think? How do you make decisions? What are off limits? What is your worldview? What is sacred to you? Because ultimately you're a leader. You're like trying to lead people into this next version of their company or their personal brand. So we don't have any of those things documented in text. AI will never be able to execute at
Yeah.
the level that we need it to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find too, without that, that's where you get the very vanilla sounding everything. Whether you're using especially when I think marketing. If you're using it for social posts, landing page content, emails, anything like that, it's even if you prompt it well and you're saying high converting, blah, blah, it's going to pull
No,
from just generic
no.
frameworks. And I think, particularly as a marketer, you need to have your own perspective and your own style. Your content needs to be that next level of amazing. My husband's in development and construction, which I feel from a marketing perspective is like eons ago. And, they could probably take some generic, here's the ingredients of a great Instagram post and be fine. But I just feel like in marketing, particularly, we have to be like, 5 steps ahead. And
Yes.
you teaching that has really helped me be able to kind of infuse what I'm doing with AI so that it actually sounds and feels like me.
And that's the thing that no one's gonna ever be able to take away from you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially copywriters, especially people in marketing, are very scared about, well, AI is just gonna write a newsletter like me. No, it won't. Every day I get a newsletter that I'm like, this is trash. Absolute trash. I've even had my own team create trash with AI. And I'm like, this is cringy. This is
Yeah.
absolute C minus. And then back to that
You
offloader.
failed.
Yeah, we actually just uploaded our values to say you are damn proud of your work. And I don't
Hmm.
care if it came from AI or came from you. I don't care where it came from. But if you are not damn proud of it, you cannot ship it. You
Yeah.
cannot. And I think that's what most marketers, let's just say 90%, are using AI in some way. And they're like, well, that was really fast. So I'm just going to
Hmm.
use this.
They're like,
But
done.
sure.
Check.
But the energetics aren't there. The
Hmm.
Kinsey, she's integrator, but also director of growth, has spent years in marketing. She ran a marketing company before this. So she's had 15 years of developing her beliefs on a sales page. And she has so much data about conversion on what's converted and what hasn't converted. And we're also studying the hell out of Hormozy's sales page and what converted on his page. And so having all this data and this history and this experience, and bringing that in now, when we go to generate a sales page, our sales pages are badass and they hit,
Hmm.
they're still 70% there. And then I come in and I throw my energetics on it. I'm like, I don't really like that. I want to write a letter to them. This is, let me voice note, let me process a little bit. But just having the ability to even start at 70%, I
Totally.
think people miss the back and forth too. We're not at a place
Yeah.
where it just spits out perfect content.
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's rare.
Yeah. And then even
Yeah.
as a marketer too, I think of my marketing team internally, their job is to interview me, extract brilliance and downloads and creativity out of me, take that transcript and then turn it into the newsletter. It's
Hmm.
not write a newsletter and have me edit it. And obviously I'm on podcasts a lot and I tell a ton of stories and I have so much content from our session. So they're really lucky they have significant content. But if your team, if CMO, if you're working with a business that doesn't have content, force it out of them. Like send them questions and have them text you back a voice note. We can
Yeah.
get scrappy with it.
Hmm.
That's the
Yeah.
other thing too, is like, yes, you've built your way of doing it, your frameworks, your way of attacking LinkedIn, but then you have to extract the emotion and the frequency and the intuition and the downloads out of your client. And now we have to merge them together and
Yeah.
AI can help do that.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, you have a concept of AI offloader and AI architect. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I've heard you speak about it and I love that notion.
Yes. So I kind of just mentioned that offloader. So
Yeah.
the offloader is the classic, let's just call it the marketer. We're going to call him George. Sorry for any Georges. George went on and he said, you write us a weekly email newsletter for our chiropractic office. We're doing Halloween party. We're going to have candy for the kids. Okay. So it writes some, BS thing like, oh, it's Spookaween. Come on in, crack your back and there'll be black cats and, it's some cheesy thing. Oh, cute. Love it. Spec, put it on there, send it out, ship it out. It's probably a B minus. It probably has hashtags and bolds and weird fonts or weird, formatting, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And we don't have call to actions and there's no actual stories. It just is. So that's the offloader. Yes, they're using AI, but they're usually just using a single prompt and having a conversation. It's either a bad result or they took so long to get to the end result that it's like, we should have just written the damn thing, which
Totally.
I'm sure a lot of marketers can get to. The offloader is taking a step back. And I talk about this a lot that I'm teaching AI, but once you come into the program, you're like, I'm basically teaching personal development, honestly, because what I'm doing is we're stepping back, and the first thing I want to do is I need to think critically. So the AI
Mhm.
architect thinks critically about, okay, I need to write an email newsletter. What do I want this person to feel? What do I want them to do? Okay, I'm starting to document these things down. Then, how do I build an engine that collapses time around building this newsletter? What would this AI need to know? Do they, obviously it needs to know our newsletter framework, and how do we create what do we want this to do, and how do we want someone to feel? And then they just continue to iterate and iterate and iterate until we get to the place. And before we started recording, you're building we call it the brand guardian or your marketing project. And it's painful. It takes
Mhm.
3 times as long to train AI than it does a human being.
Yeah.
3 times as long to train AI than it does a human being. And already people don't wanna train other humans. So when we're getting into this architect knows, well, if I am able to just sit and continue to refine and refine and refine and not settle for B minus and continue, like, I only ship world-class work, that's what that architect is continuing to work with AI. And usually this is either a custom GPT to start or a Claude project. And then eventually they start thinking about automation, and they think, well, okay, well, I know that, the CEO of the company, does they do podcasts, every week or so. Could I have an automation so that every time there's a podcast transcript, it runs it through the marketing project and creates 3 draft social posts? Maybe. Yes. So that's the AI architect thought, is we're out of this one-off task, and we're thinking in systems and engines,
Mhm.
and really thinking critically about, almost we're really thinking of AI like a person. What does this person need to know to
Yeah.
do this job?
Yeah, I love that. And I think that was one of the big shifts for me when I started working with you is really I was using it like an offloader. And I think my go-to, because it was like quote unquote fast, was just popping it open. And even if I had projects or a thread that was, I don't know, quote unquote loosely trained, I would pop it open and throw something in there because for me that was fast.
Yep.
And I've learned it's almost this slow down to speed up thing. And,
Yeah.
yeah, we were just talking about that before we hit record about how frustrated I was. I was like, oh,
Yep.
I could just do this faster. But it's one of those things where if we pull back and really look at what we're doing in our business as CMOs or with our clients and those things that we do repeatedly that take time, if we can pull those apart and look at them piece by piece and figure out how to properly set up AI to support us in that, it's going to fast track us times a million. So something that I did probably right away. I think it was the first week in the program. I was doing a bunch of podcasts and I do solo episodes and guest episodes. And usually for me to prep would take anywhere between 1 or 2 hours, depending on how solid my idea was when I sat down and really just, I don't know, how it would flow. I'd usually use AI, but I'd be iterating. And it got to the point that I was like, okay, I'm taking so much time to do this. This has to be faster. So I think I spent probably a day
Mhm.
training or setting up a custom GPT with custom instructions, how you've showed us to do it, and separate prompts for solo episode, individual
Right.
episodes, and all the things I have to do outside of this. Create a social caption, help me with an SEO optimized title, a description, blah, blah, blah. And for me to do, so I created that. And then for me to do all of the prep, for example, for this episode, it was 10 minutes. And because the output initially,
So
it was
good.
almost there. All I did was go through and kind of tweak it. And I was really happy with it.
That
I,
is
I think it's, yeah, such a good example. It took me quite a while of playing and testing and iterating to get it to a really good point. But now it just saves me time every single week. So
To
that's
run
what
the
I'm kind
numbers,
of
how many
working through.
podcasts do you do a year?
Yeah, one a week. But at this point, I was literally just thinking yesterday, I'm like, I could actually do more because it's so quick for me now.
Oh, so that's a really
Yeah.
interesting, let's just say it's 1 a week. Let's just say you're gonna do 1.5 a week. We'll say an average of
Yeah.
1.5. Some weeks 1, some weeks 2. So that would be 78 a year you now have capacity for. If you were doing it manually, 78 hours,
At least. Yeah.
let's
Probably
call it
twice that because of all the output after.
let's call it 156 hours of work. And you spent 8 hours, would you say, to
Yeah.
get it where it needs to be with kind of prompt development?
That's generous, but probably, yeah.
Okay, we'll say it's even 6 hours. So there's I always forget the word in economics what they call this, but people devalue their future time significantly over their
Mhm.
current time. So one of the biggest issues with entrepreneurs and founders is that we don't invest time even doing a debrief after a project. It always goes to the end, but if you actually spent the 2 hours doing this full debrief of what went right, what went wrong, how could we improve for next time, that could save so much time in the future. And
Mhm.
this is the moment of your that's what this whole program is about too. And you've seen it. We're forcing you to build every week, even when people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, this is so much." I get it, but also a lot of people won't do it. They won't
Yeah.
sit down and do it if I don't force them to do it on the call or make it homework.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you did that because now you have capacity for more. And maybe even your assistant could eventually do the prep. You have a system there and she can
Totally.
just feed it to you in Notion or whatever.
Yeah.
And so good.
Yeah, I love it. And it's funny now that I've shifted my thinking and been thinking in, the AI architect mode, it's honestly almost overwhelming how many ideas I have. I have this
Yeah.
board of what I'm working on now. This is all for later because now that I see it, I can't unsee it. There's so many places in my business for both me and for clients where I'm looking at it and thinking I can save so much time and the quality of work can be amazing. And yeah, it's something interesting that I see too. As a CMO, I also bring in a lot of subcontractors to my clients' businesses. So
Mm,
anything, honestly, anything from copywriting to design to ManyChat setup to marketing tech, setting up email funnels and things like that. And it's so interesting to me being in this space and kind of connecting with my subcontractors over the last year. And almost nobody is really leveraging AI to this extent.
I know.
And it literally blows my mind. I have been actually, even this last year, I've been looking at copywriters, for example. Obviously, that's one of the places that's been hit the hardest. But
Yep.
what's been, and this was pre you, before I knew about sort of how we can set ourselves up. But what was happening was I was coming up against this conflict with clients, not externally, but myself, where I was thinking, I have such a hard time recommending to clients, hey, let's go spend 12 grand on your website copy when I wouldn't do that now. With the
Mm,
tools available to
mm,
me, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't spend that money because I don't need to. I don't need to spend like 6 to 8 weeks and back and forth with a copywriter and
heck
10
no.
grand when I just can prompt it properly and get pretty good copy back in like a day, right?
Mm,
So I came up against that, but the thing with me as a CMO is I will support my clients across all areas of marketing, but I'm a marketing generalist. So I'm not a deep copy expert. I'm not a deep Facebook ads expert. I know enough about everything to help them shape their strategy and give feedback and work with an expert and get things to, a really good place.
yeah.
But what I was craving, I was looking around and being like, okay, my team and I were kind of muddling our way through creating this copy for clients. And it's okay, but I know if a copywriter would download their brain into ChatGPT and say, this is how I rate a homepage. This is
Yeah.
what I look for. These are my unique like isms, the things that make my stuff the best.
Yep.
Then if we could just feed it what it needs and it spits out like, the amazing version that would have been their output and they
Yeah.
just paint it and it takes like 10 minutes. Why is no copywriter out there with
Yeah.
an offer
You
saying,
know why?
hey, you used to pay 10 grand and it would take me 6 weeks. You pay me $1,000 and we'll be done in 4 hours. I would be
Why
paying
do
that
you
all day
think
long.
every
I think there's
copywriter
fear around
So I was
it.
gonna say, it's all fear. It's
Yeah,
all fear, it's all scarcity, it's gonna take over the world, it's gonna take over the world, and that is the biggest thing I wanna shout from the rooftops is this actually is one of the greatest moments of impact. I think people say like,
totally.
I wanna write and change people's lives." Okay, well, you're doing it for 2 people right now, and you could be doing it for 200 or
Totally.
2,000 if we had
Exactly.
the right systems in place and we slowed down. This is not and that's the thing I think people think, AI is gonna take my genius and those especially creatives are
Yeah.
like, no, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've never felt more creative than I
Oh my
am
gosh, totally. Because I'm
building these
constantly
out.
thinking of ideas and
Yeah.
constantly being like, how do we leverage this? And it's funny because a lot of the marketing subcontractors that I talk to, or even, marketing managers, fractional CMOs, there's a common thread of we want to make more money, we want to work less. Obviously, we want the work to be amazing. We're also, a lot of us are perfectionists and we want the caliber of our work to be great. A lot of those are very conflicting. So
Yeah.
how do we make more money and work less? Like literally, hi, AI is the answer. that's how you do it. You have, even if you had the same amount of clients and you threw them through your frameworks,
Mm.
you're done in a tenth of the time, probably less. And then you can be doing whatever, surfing, or you can be whatever with your kids, or, all of the things. And yeah, it's so, so interesting to me. And it's just a conversation I've been having with my subcontractors and being like, how do we do this? How do we get your stuff in here?
And back to, yes, this is an AI program, but so much of this is an identity shift for people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
even me being the CEO, the visionary of this company, my next level is not doing more. My
Yeah.
next level is stepping up into vision and dreaming and going out in the world and meeting people and getting downloads from creator and sharing that back with the team. And I think even copywriters, they get their value out of what they've always done, which is sit down, blank sheet, go. They have not, it's going from, we need to shift it from I'm being replaced to you're actually just graduating into the next step of the process, which is
Totally.
architecting it, orchestrating it, designing it. You're a strategic partner with your AI. You're essentially just hiring a ghostwriter, that operates for you. And so many people, most of the best authors in the world, have ghostwriters
Yeah.
that write for them, that they've trained on their voice and they've worked with them and over and over and over and over and over. And yeah, I mean, it's back to this is all in their head and in their heart. They're not making a business decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scarcity fear-based decision, and I think we're
Yeah.
on a mission to help people. So
Yeah.
if you're a copywriter listening, don't be scared. Don't
Yeah.
be scared. Your genius isn't going
Totally.
anywhere. That's your
And you know
IP.
what? You know what just occurred to me too? One of the things I've noticed with working with your team is that being really good at creating these AI systems actually requires you to become a better communicator. And I think that I'm generally pretty decent. And it's been really interesting to see. I'll build something, or I'll, create a prompt for something. And then I get this weird output and I'm like, wait a second. And I read and I'm like, oh, it's because I said it this way or that way. And it's interesting because there's these skill sets in marketing, particularly copy, probably social strategists, certain people who like words, like language selection is their expertise. They'd probably be the best ever at this, right? And
The
yeah,
best. The best.
yeah, I love
The
that.
best AI writing, you have to know, what do you want? Who exactly, we already know this. Who are you talking to? Why do you want it to be like this? What does good look like? What emotions do you want out of your audience, out of that reader? What is the story arc? What are the constraints? These are all the things that normal, regular people have no effing idea. You don't know what an ideal client persona is. Like a part of our program is I have to teach people. Most businesses don't have one. That's the thing you guys all know, and
Mm-hmm.
you have this genius. And again, the thing I want to say too is if you guys are building these for your clients, you own these. Your clients
Mm-hmm.
do not own these. Now, if they want to pay you, again, these are worth 20. How much is it? How much would it be worth to have infinite copy, infinite content?
Yeah. Yeah.
$50,000, 70, $60,000. This is your unique magic because when you give them your marketing tool, you're also giving away your frameworks and your IP and the way that you think and
Mm-hmm.
the way you make decisions. So again, when you take the time to step back and build this is an asset to your business that no one can take from you. I would say it's not purchasable personally because I don't want anyone to have my IP. Now again, there's always a price. But I would really be in that camp of no, you still need me because you
Mm-hmm.
need my brain, and my brain
Yeah.
is built inside of
Yeah.
this tool.
I know we talked about that at the start when I was trying to figure out not only me and my business, that's, over
Yeah.
here, but for clients, what does this really look like? And I'd love to talk about, so for fractional CMOs, particularly with the business side, let's focus on us and our own businesses. What do you think are the most important tools or things we should be building?
Yes. There's 3, so I also wanna back out to people that maybe have not operated inside of ChatGPT. Most of you guys probably have, but inside of ChatGPT, over on the left-hand side, if you have a paid, you're gonna see 2 different sections that you probably haven't seen before. One section is called GPTs, the other section is called projects. They're kind of interchangeable, there's a little differences, but they're basically the same thing. You have a set of instructions and you have a knowledge base. So inside of these projects, you can load in files, you can load in your IP, you can load in transcripts, you can load in notes, you can load in tone, and it will always remember those things inside of the brain. So when we say projects that each CMO needs, I'm talking about these. Okay. First one, internally, we call it a brand guardian. That's kind of the name that we've come up with. We have a very particular way of building out the brand guardian, but it protects your brand. So you need to be able to build out AI project that sounds like a brand. That can be a personal brand, that can be a company brand. We actually have a little bit of a different build out depending on what you're building, but that's the place that you go when you're building email newsletters, LinkedIn, Instagram captions, and always breaking it out. Like my personal brand for Callan Faulkner is a completely different tone and voice than my company, The Uncommon Business. So I
Mm-hmm.
have two totally separate projects for both of those. And that's where for the company, we can build sales pages, we do lead magnets or ebooks, and all of that, all of those frameworks, even my lead magnet prompt. I spent 3 hours just on my lead magnet prompt because most lead magnets absolutely suck. They are
Mm-hmm.
not valuable, they're not sexy, no one's saving it, and it's a bunch of BS. So again, it's training the system on how do you build your lead magnet? How do you build a sales page? How do you build
Yeah.
your, website designers? My God, imagine having a
Well,
website company right now.
no,
What
oh my gosh, I know. And
so
okay, so I have to jump in and say something that it's really funny because I remember, and I feel like I have to apologize. I remember talking to you in the DMs while you were launching Automate to Accelerate. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And I feel like, you know, honestly, I don't know if it's just custom GPTs, like I'm already doing those. And it's exactly the thing you said about the hamburger versus the designer hamburger or whatever. And I laugh now because was just like everyone else I'm talking to. They're like, I'm training my AI. I was not. And I think there's such a big difference between going in the back end of ChatGPT and following the prompted flow of let's create you a GPT.
oh
And they're
God.
shit. They're absolute garbage. And then creating one in the way that you have done it
Yeah.
and taught us to do. And I think there's like my custom instructions are insane. They're so good. And then
Mhm,
what I upload, I never would have thought to include the things I include. And
mhm.
then there's been these nuances, small things like, okay, if I've got all these, prompts that, a prompt for creating this kind of thing, a prompt for creating that kind of thing. And even just the small tip of like, hey, you got to tell it what prompt to use. It's not
Mhm.
smart enough to just cruise its own knowledge. And so
Nope,
little things like that, that like, you might go and build that. And then without someone who's been there, done that 1,000 times
totally.
over, you're like, oh, this is garbage and it's not working when you're probably like a couple small tweaks away. So there's been so many tips like that that I think have probably saved me hours and hours of time.
Totally. Don't blame yourself. No one's taught you how to use this thing. Everyone just slammed chatgpt.com in your face and it's like, go use it. Like, I mean, even me, people are like, where'd you learn? I learned from effing up for thousands of hours and
Yeah.
finally getting to the place where every time I build a lead magnet, I want to build it the same way. So I
Hmm.
had to document that set of instructions and then put it in the project. And even that, even at first though, it's, remember the first day where we built the Think Like Ed Milet, people were like, why do you put the prompt in the project? And it was so confusing. It didn't make sense. And a lot of times it doesn't make sense until you need it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, and so a lot of it is just forcing yourself to use it and build with it and try it. And people, again, if you guys are like just getting started with AI, this might feel like a little bit of a pie in the sky conversation, and I'm sorry about that. Um, but just knowing, even if you're taking anything from this, is like most people are driving the Lamborghini to the grocery store and back. They are
Hmm.
not getting it on the open road. They're not seeing the potential. They're not getting it to max,
Yeah.
not even close. They're driving at 25 miles an hour and like, yeah, that I have a Lamborghini. No, you
Yeah.
don't. Let me
Yeah.
show you the power if you allow me to go
Yeah.
to the next level, which
Yeah.
is the most fun thing.
I love it. Okay, so we've got our brand guardian that will
Yeah.
help us with all of our content creation. It's
Yeah.
going to be
Content creation,
in our
asset
voice,
creation.
our
Yep.
tone. It's going to
With your
know who we're
frameworks.
talking to, our framework, so
Absolutely.
unique to us, not just basic best practices from
Right.
the internet. Okay,
Yep,
so that's
and then
number one.
the skill of knowing how to reverse engineer your client's
Yeah.
voice with your frameworks, and then you have an individual one for each client. Fun, fun, fun. Then, the next thing is I call it the sales wizard or the sales assistant. So this project's a little bit different. This one is trained on how to be your sales assistant. So we had one for our launch. So we did a launch of our 12-week AI program. We had 3,000 emails come in 10 days. And we had 3 humans. And there's all the numbers, and you can just tell. If we didn't have AI helping us with these responses, first of all, We have people emailing like, "I run a metal fabrication company, and I don't think AI is for us." I'm like, "Oh my god. I don't even know what a medical fabrication company does." So that would take, 20 minutes to get a good email back to some of these people. So the sales wizard is trained on, first of all, your favorite sales principles. For me, it's Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss and the Challenger Sale and Daniel Pink. And then, so all these amazing sales leaders, then it's trained on my best client story. So I put 100 different client stories in there. We've spent a lot of time refining our client stories and the ROI and the transformation. Then I put in all of our offers, the sales pages for everything that we do. Then I bring in the transcripts of me doing pitches. So I do a lot of one-to-many coaching. So me pitching, me selling, and tons of past emails that I personally have sent in the way that I like to write. All we have to do is put in, for us, we don't do sales calls, but if you did sales calls, and I think most fractional CMOs are doing sales calls and they're
Mhm.
not
Yep.
evaluating themselves, and there's ton of low hanging fruit there. So
Yep.
first of all, any sales, generating sales proposals, generating follow-up emails. A lot of you guys have not gone through sales training and you're just
Mhm.
people pleasing, and you're not asking tough questions, and you're not allowing for silence, and you're not asking open-ended questions. This is stuff that you need to learn, or you need to hire someone that knows how to do it. So the sales wizard, A, is able to write emails in the best way, create sales proposals that actually, well, our next project will really help with pricing what you need to be charging, but it will push you to charge what you need to charge, write your sales, essentially writing your sales messages. And then the best thing is if you do a sales call, take the transcript of that call, bring it into the sales wizard and say, I want you to be so brutally honest with me right now. I want you to evaluate me in every area as if you were my sales coach. What did I do well? What can I work on? What phrases should I have said and when should I have said them? And what do you think would have happened if I had implemented these changes? And how can I improve in the future? Then when you
Mhm.
have your next sales call, bring in all of the details and you can role play with this sales wizard. So you can even practice like I'm pitching this 20K a month retainer. I've never done anything over 5K a month. I'm absolutely crapping myself. Can you please role play this conversation with me? Give me the 10 objections you believe they will give me and how exactly I handle them. I also want you to prepare me emotionally, all the things before I go into the call. So you have a script ready to go. So I think sales, most fractional CMOs are one or two clients away from 50K a month. I just don't think they understand.
Totally.
I'm about to hire a marketer just for my brand, my personal brand, because I'm going to top 0.01% with my personal brand for 12K a month just for my personal brand strategy, not even doing the social, just the
Yeah.
strategy. So just knowing your right clients will pay you the money you deserve.
Totally. Yeah. I love that because I think that's such a big thing. So a lot of my students for fractional CMO school will come in and they are either marketing executors, they've been doing marketing for a long time, they're generalists
Yep.
and they're trying to transition into this model, or they're fractional CMOs who are drowning because they haven't quite figured it out. They don't have boundaries around what they do. They're pricing themselves too low. And they're kind of drowning. They're like, Jess, how do we do this? How are we making good money and not killing ourselves? And so
Yep.
I think that this is such a good example of there's so many pieces that go into that in how you're pricing yourself, how you're packaging yourself, and how you're selling, how you're showing up on the sales calls. Because it really starts at the very beginning in terms of building that authority and having that client see you as someone who's sitting beside them as a marketing leader and a partner, like a thought partner and strategist, not someone who's like, okay, tell me what to do. I'm your, here to do all the
Oh,
marketing.
God,
It's
no.
such a positioning thing. And so I find often when I talk to people and I coach them, I will often hear recordings of sales calls, or I will talk to them and be like, okay, walk me through this conversation you had with this client. And I can stop them and be like, that right there, how you said that, or how you approached this. And I think having that in AI format, like this always on sales coach, brilliant.
Do we have a Jess sales coach for your clients yet?
On the list. It's on the list.
On the damn
Callan,
list.
I have such an insane list of GPTs I need to build. I feel like I'd be offline
I
for a
know.
quarter building them
You
out
should
if I
post
did it.
in the Automate to Accelerate group. Is anyone out there willing to work with me and be my GPT building assistant
Oh
and
my
just pay
God,
someone
yes.
to
I'm
have an
gonna do
assistant?
that.
You
I
should.
love that.
I seriously, because a lot of it now you need to elevate into the architect, give your
Totally.
requirement because you know what you need at this point.
I
That's why I say
absolutely do. I have
a
this
lot
big list of, yeah,
of the
everything.
leaders most of the leaders that I'm talking to are like, well, I don't actually want to know it. I'm just going to have my team know it. You
Yeah,
cannot not at least be able to speak the language. Because now
totally.
you could speak with a GPT developer builder and I need you to do this, this, this. This is exactly the output that I'm looking for and
Yeah,
be able to design
yeah.
it in your mind.
Yeah, and I'm such a big believer, and I'm always like this. I think that there's so much value in going through the motions and doing
Oh yeah.
something yourself so you know and understand it deeply if you're gonna be hiring that out. That's such a non-negotiable for me.
100%. Love.
Yeah,
So we have Sales Wizard, which is non-negotiable, and it sounds like you have that at least internally for you, but now we need to build it for your clients.
yeah.
And then they should pay you monthly to be able to do it. Just saying.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Well,
I
recurring
like
revenue.
that.
Yep. Our last one is called the Money Coach. So this one we're actually building in our program tomorrow. You haven't built this one yet, but this is where it's a combination of two of my favorite authors, are kind of the back end of it. The first is the author of Happy Pocket Full of Money, which I think it's
It's a
Michael
cute name.
Giocondi. Phenomenal book. If you guys have not read Happy Pocket Full of Money, it's all about money is energy. It is not supposed to be forced. It's attracted to us, and it's how to use the laws of the universe to attract abundance, and creator wants limitless abundance for us. We're the ones that continue to block it. So it's like woo woo, which trust me, I made the most money I ever have in my life following these principles. And I've brought in the frameworks of this another author, blanking on his name, but he wrote a book called Profit First. So that's kind of more tactical. Okay,
Mhm.
how do you run finances in a small to medium sized business? Some people bring in the frameworks from Simple Numbers 2.0, which is another amazing finance book. So we have the money coach's responsibility is to coach you like a spiritually attuned CFO. So we're not so number 1, we can come to it. So I am in the process, and you'll hear more about this story tomorrow, of I'm in my home right now, and I want to get into my next house. And my next house has to be the 10x version of me. And so I just got off the phone this morning with a builder. I'm like, I want to build my dream house. And that house is probably going to be at least 2.5 million. And I want this barn dominium next door with the gym and the sauna and the cold plunge and the conference rooms,
Love it.
all the space to bring everybody together, not only for my team to work there, but host all the retreats. So I don't know what it's going to be all in. Probably, 700, 800 for the business, and then maybe 2.5 personal. So I went into my money coach, and I'm like, I need you to coach me through this, because in my mind, I'm like, this is insane. Like this,
Mhm.
it just happens so fast. Your neurons, your literal neural pathways have not caught up to the reality
Yeah.
of who we are. So it coached me through it from an energetics perspective, and it's going through all these motions. First of all, running through the mortgage of, okay, yeah, 16K a month seems insane, but you just told me that you could host a retreat for 10 people and charge $6,000 a person or whatever the cost is. So why not do 3 of those and just pay for the entire house? Yeah. So I'm so stuck in this small minded. And then back to every time we've set pricing, even the keynotes that I'm looking at, I'm like, what am I worth? I don't even know. And Cody Sanchez charges $150,000 for a keynote. Okay.
Mhm.
For one of, like, literally top 3 AI coaches in the world. 50K. And in my mind is like, what? $50,000? $100,000? That seems insane. But to
Yeah.
have this reflection back to you of like, our money story dictates so much of our
Oh my god, so much.
so much.
So much. And I love this because I literally just wrote an email, I haven't sent it out yet, but wrote an email on this the other day because I often am coaching my students on pricing, and it is probably the biggest hurdle that I
Yep,
have to help them
yep.
overcome is like, okay, what you're doing, you should be charging 10K, 15K a month, whatever the
Yep.
pricing is. And they're like, what? Like they just can't wrap their head around it because they're charging 2, 3, 4,000 and they're working 25, 30 hours a week for somebody and they're just killing themselves for that. And it's so interesting because I think that there's something to be said about your nervous system and your subconscious kind of catching up.
Mhm.
And something that has, well, probably the biggest thing that has helped me with that has been my coach, my mindset coach. So again, if you can have this in AI format, like such a no-brainer because I remember the email that I wrote was, when I first started as a CMO, I had just had my second daughter and
Mm.
I was about to go on maternity leave. And I had kind of been on this slow winding of this hustle culture from being in corporate. And over the, previous year and a half or so, it was this realization of what the hell have I been doing? And I can't be working like this. And I don't want to work like
Mm.
this. And this is not who I am. And who am I now? And, I had my second daughter and had this, okay, I'm going to start my own business. This is crazy. I've got, a toddler and a newborn at home, but I'm going to do it. And I remember thinking at the time I was working at a nonprofit and I was making, I think, Canadian per year, which is
Oh,
nothing. And I remember thinking, if I can just replace my income, maybe I can hit 100K or 120K.
sure.
That would be so amazing. And I remember pitching my first clients, and I came out the gate hot with all this confidence. I'm going to charge 15K a month. That's what my rate's going to be. And I remember just thinking about how freaking life changing that would be. And at that time, though, I had so much emotion and stuff tied up around it. There just was all these stories, and
And they
so
could feel it probably
they
when
could
you
feel it, yeah.
Mhm.
And I ended up losing that initial person who'd said yes, and I was devastated, thinking, "I'm never
Sure.
gonna find that again. Oh, that's it. There goes my one client in the entire world that I would have ever gotten at that price point. It's never gonna happen." And fast forward, I hit $1 million in my agency last year, in a
Wow.
year, not cumulatively in 1 year, with
Oh my
myself
god.
and one other CMO. And I wrote this email saying, I never could have in a million years imagined making the kind of money that I make, doing work that I love, and not working insane hours. I have two little girls. I sometimes drive them to school. I often pick them up and take them to their 400 activities after school. And, I also take care of myself. I went on a big health journey this year and we'll go for walks and I'll stop for a lunch break. And just to be able to have built this business with space and capacity and also still impact my clients and have, the work feel amazing and make great money. But it was for me the stepping stone. I had to slowly peel away the beliefs that were blocking me. And it was really just this inch by inch thing of like, okay, this is my goal. Now this is my goal. Now this is my goal. And it was really the coaching that got me there. So I
So
imagine
good.
having that at your fingertips with AI, like amazing.
100%. Well, most of us don't even know where these things come from, and AI can recognize patterns, and it can recognize when you're starting to feel guilty for being paid for thinking rather than doing. That's
Totally.
probably one of the biggest things with your
It's,
clients is they don't understand that they're valuable just doing thinking and strategy and having other
yeah,
people do the doing. Same thing with
they don't
moms too,
understand.
right? Or
Yeah.
with anyone that's so, "Oh my god, I could never have someone else do my laundry. That's one of my roles at the house." Or not.
Yeah.
Or your worth is actually more it is first of all, you're worthy regardless of anything you're doing ever. I mean, that's again, our society has trained us to think that. But I think I'm in this day in and day out of needing to prove my value with labor.
Yeah.
We learned it in school. We learned it in
Yeah.
2nd grade. You gotta do your homework. You gotta get an A on the test. So it's do, do, do. And then
Mhm.
this again, the money this mindset coaches, money coaches, you're never gonna hit 7 figures with this. Keep doing this. You're just stuck in your
Totally.
hamster
Yeah.
wheel.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned spotting patterns because everyone's going to have something different. And I know for me at the beginning, I was really struggling with how do I go? Because all of my previous roles, I had been in marketing for over 10 years, and all my roles were strategy and execution. So I had such a hard time, honestly, being like, where do I start and end? I just don't understand this role. And I really had to muddle through and figure it out. And I remember totally fucking it up with a awesome client that I
Mm.
had because I ended up just losing my confidence and doubting myself and slipping into this space where I was like tuning out a bunch of stuff. And it ended up in this conversation of like, this doesn't feel like 15K a month work. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It doesn't. I
Mm.
shouldn't be doing this for 15K. I devalued myself in the
Wow.
pursuit of trying to be valuable.
It's such a mind F. It really is,
Eh,
and then when you're attracting the right client, they don't care what you if you are solving that pain point, the right problem, that's where the sales wizard can help, is taking the transcript of that discovery call and extracting out what really is the pain and problem that they would pay 15 to 20K a month for, in
mhm,
helping AI figure out what are we actually solving, then using the money coach. And if you guys don't have a money coach, you can literally go in there and say, you are the author of Simple Numbers 2.0 combined with the magnetic identity of the author of Happy Pocket Full of Money. Your job is to help me understand the beliefs, the patterns, the fears, the identity blocks that are limiting my income, capacity, and confidence, especially in my role as a fractional CMO. Ask me 10 powerful questions that uncover my money story, where I undercharge, where I'm hiding behind busy, where I'm still charging like an employee, where I'm afraid to be seen in my full value, and then analyze my answers to show me the patterns, the wounds, the contradictions, the limitations, the identity I'm still operating from. Step 3, give me an identity reframe. Tell me who my
Yeah.
future self is financially and how they think, charge, lead,
Mm-hmm.
decide, hold money, set boundaries, and then build me a money expansion plan. So I need a
Yeah.
roadmap, my new beliefs, my new habits, my new boundaries, my new embodied actions, a new pricing model. Let's start. So if you take the transcript from this podcast, you can just put the transcript into AI and say, Callan read off a money mindset prompt at the very end. Please extract it out of the transcript. Jess is probably going to do a carousel on it too. But just in case you hear something on a podcast in the future, again, everything's available to you. This is the type
Yeah.
of thinking that I'm talking about. If you kind of said it, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie National Treasure, but Nicolas Cage knows that there's a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence, but you have to have these special glasses. And I feel like this course is like putting on, or this experience, learning AI, whatever, it's my
Yeah.
course or someone else's, is putting the glasses on. And you're like,
Yes.
I really won't see the world the same way
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. I agree completely. I feel like that. That's why my list is insane of tasks,
I
things I
know.
want to
Now we
build and
need to
do.
get you out of the doing. This is the next level
Yeah.
for Jess. She's going to be managing
Absolutely.
her GPT builds, having an AI
Yes.
person internally that gets managed. It's going to be
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I love it. Okay. Well, I feel like I could talk to you all day, but I know we're getting pretty long here and we're a little over time. So if people are looking to learn more or they want to connect with you, where is the best place for them to do that?
I would go to my Instagram. That's the easiest. It's Callan Faulkner, Callan, and then Faulkner should pop right up. And my link in bio always has the next free masterclass that we are doing. We do them every 2 weeks. They are live with me. Well, at least for the next 6 months. It's November of 2025. I will never
Yeah.
commit to anything for the future.
Forever and ever.
Yes, but come to those. I give away, I mean, Jess, you've been through my free stuff. You've been
Yeah.
through the low ticket boot camp. I give away 10 times more. I will, even if Tony Robbins ever listens to this, we have a lot of people that have gone to like the Tony Robbins 3-day events and they're like, I got more out of this hour than I did in the 9 hours spending with them. I just
It's
pack it
amazing.
so much value in. So come to
Yeah.
one of those. It's totally free. Bring your team, bring your mom, bring your grandma. And that would be link in bio,
Yeah.
or you can go to our website.
I feel like I always learn from you every time I talk with you or pop on any training. So find the time. She's doing
Yes.
them all the time. You are going to learn something, even if you think that you know AI, you're training AI. I guarantee you, you will learn something. She's best in the
But we
biz.
actually we did a free masterclass last week. We had a couple people in our 12-week program that like paid us thousands of dollars, came to the free masterclass. They're in the chat. They're like, oh my God, I'm getting golden nuggets even in this freaking free thing. Like, what the hell? I'm
Yeah.
like, it just happens. There's so much fun
Yeah.
stuff that
It's
happens.
amazing. And there's so much to learn. And yeah,
Isn't
your
it?
team just does such a great job. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Callan. There was so many good takeaways from the not fearing AI aspect to how do we lean into this as a CMO to our mindset and business systems and all of the pieces. So I really appreciate your time. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, if you're building a fractional CMO business and you don't want to waste years figuring it out the hard way, Fractional CMO School is open for enrollment and we'll give you the step-by-step roadmap that I used to build my business to 6 figures in 6 months and then $1 million per year with a small team of 2. There's expert coaching, one-on-one support, and whether you are an aspiring fractional CMO or you're growing, you're trying to figure out how to scale your team or do the role in a way that doesn't lead to burnout, it is a great fit for you. And you can learn more at thecmooffice.com. If you love this episode today, here is what I would love from you. Take 30 seconds to rate and review the show. It helps more marketers and CMOs find this content. Hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're going to implement any of this or you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out in my DMs on Instagram. I would love to support you. And thank you for listening. I will see you next week.